Welcome back, guys. Got the Uneekor Swing Optix cameras for you today. I've been using these swing cameras for several weeks now and really enjoying them. So I want to cover everything that's involved with these cameras from Uneekor. Right away, what's in the box? Two cameras. You can't just buy one, you've got to buy the set of two. They are 180 frames per second, so really great high quality slow motion that you'll get from these. I do not know what the resolution is. I don't know if they're 1080 or 720. They're clearly high definition, so they look great. But the first thing I noticed whenever I took them out of the box is that these cameras are super small. Not that that really matters, but they are, I would say, very well manufactured. Compare that to a camera from Carl's Place. You can see it's just a much bigger cube than the Uneekor camera, which is literally like a 1-inch cube. They do come with two different lenses. One is a wide angle lens and one is a zoom lens. So you're gonna have to use one of each. The zoom lens, actually, if you're zoomed all the way out, you can get very close as well, almost as close as the regular wide angle lens. So don't be worried about that. With the zoom lens, you obviously have the option to mount it much further away and zoom in to the player. I don't know the specs on the lenses either, but they look great. And so you'll get to see those as well. They do include 3 USB cables. 2 are a little over 16 feet long, which works out perfectly for me to have my face-on camera and my laptop on opposite ends, which is how my setup is. And then they include one 6.5-foot USB cord as well. So if you do have a camera right next to your computer, you don't have to roll up a 16-foot cable. You can just use the shorter one and not have all that slack. I'll show you those a little bit closer in just a minute. Now, for the most part, that's everything in the box. Let's talk about the initial setup. There are no instructions in the box, as is typical for Uneekor, but this installation was super easy. I literally just plug in the cameras to my laptop, then went into Uneekor Launcher, installed the Swing Optix cameras, and it walks you through it step by step. It basically just registers them to your Uneekor account. And then from that point forward, if they're plugged into your computer and you launch Uneekor Launcher, it will recognize them and you're good to go. Now, most likely you're going to be attaching them to some kind of tripod. Just want to point out there that they do not have any kind of mount on the camera. They have tiny little plates that take tiny little screws that you screw into the camera, and then you're able to screw them into a tripod mount. You're going to need a tiny little Phillips head screwdriver like this. This would be like something you use to work on like computer parts or something like that. If you don't have one, go ahead and get one ahead of time, because you'll unbox these and not be able to mount them anywhere. Now, the other surprise was that when I screwed them onto the tripod and I opened them in Uneekor View to look at the camera view, it was basically flipped. So these cameras are actually meant to not sit on top of the tripod. You'll screw them on top, and then you should move your tripod mount over to the side. Most tripods have an option for that. They usually just have a little knob, and then you can twist it down. You know, if it's a regular camera or something, going from landscape to using portrait mode. Now, here is an example of the USB cable that plugs into the back. There is a little screw here. When you unscrew that, or I'll unscrew that here, then pull it out. It is a USB 3.0, so it needs to use that on your computer. I do like that it does have this screw lock here so that you can't accidentally pull it out or anything, and you know that it's secure. The other thing to mention is that they get super hot. It's not gonna hurt anything, but that was just surprising to me as well. Now, I've got these that I typically use at a distance of 7 feet from the golf ball for the down the line angle, and then face on about 5 feet from the golf ball. I've been able to pretty much use either one in those positions, and I just put a piece of tape on the ground where I generally put them. The other thing you'll need to do on that zoom lens before you get started is adjust the zoom and the focus using the little screws on the lens. There are a couple of different ones, and so you'll need to plug it in, have it running on the computer so you can see the image, and just adjust each one of those rings around the zoom lens until you get it right. One is going to open and close the lens so it'll get darker or lighter. The other one is going to adjust the zoom, and the last one is going to adjust the focus. So you'll want to play with those until you get them just right in the position that you're going to leave that camera at. and then you're good to go. And you can tighten the screws so that you don't accidentally twist those as well. After that, you're pretty much ready to go. You're gonna use these in the Uneekor View software. I'm really enjoying using this for filming my swing. Because Uneekor makes the software and the cameras, the software is as much a part of this review as the cameras themselves. So when you go to the swing camera tab, you're able to get both views up on the screen side by side. That is much better than having to look at one at a time. They will automatically replay after you hit a shot, and they both automatically sync at impact perfectly. You can play them at full speed, you can play them at half speed, or I prefer to just go and turn it down to quarter speed for the slowest option. We're gonna look at some swings. They look very smooth, no blur. You can really see where the club face is at any point. That's ideal for looking at your golf swing. Now you do have a bunch of drawing tools within Uneekor View, basic lines and circles and angles and things like that. The cool thing about that is, like, if you were going to draw a line for your swing plane, you can draw the typical one from the club shaft up through your elbow and see, you know, where you are on plane. Well, that line will stay there from swing to swing. So as long as you're using the same club and your setup is the same, you can see, you know, if you're back on plane, if that's something that you're working on. The other thing that's great about using Uneekor View is that every swing is recorded as long as your cameras are plugged in and working. You don't have to have the swing view open. You can switch back to the trajectory view, the driving range, and do that. And if you have a funny swing or a really great one or something like that, you can just walk over and switch to the camera tab and watch it then. In some other software, you have to leave the camera tab open. That way then you can't look at what you want to look at when you're hitting. Overall, it checks a lot of boxes using the Uneekor View software to record your swing. Now, I've said before that I don't completely love Uneekor View software, and that's mainly I don't love it as a standalone software. It's great for capturing all this data, but to me, I think it's used best when it's used at the same time as something else, such as GSPRO. I can literally just play around in GSPRO and leave the swing camera tab open on my laptop. So every swing I can just look over at my laptop and see a replay automatically of the last shot while I'm using GSPRO. To me, that is almost perfect. The only downside is kind of a knock on Uneekor View, and I just don't like the way the sessions are organized. If you want to open up one session and play GSPRO, all of those shots are going to get lumped into a single session. A session is kind of built around a single golf club. It would be nice if you could have multiple different golf clubs, but that's not how Uneekor View works. If you wanted to keep it perfect, you could walk over and create a new session for every single swing, but that's not realistic. So just know if you want to do that, I generally will open a new session and name it like the golf course that I'm playing, and all of those swings are going to get mixed in there. You just don't necessarily know what club you're using in every shot. Now, what you do need to know is that you have to use these Swing Optix cameras for a lot of the features from Uneekor, and that includes the new AI trainer. I just did a video on that. It's currently in beta. The Balance Optix pressure mat is going to require Swing Optix cameras to function. There also is another feature within Uneekor View, and that's the compare feature. You go into the compare tab and you can choose two different swings, and they will show the video side by side. That will work with any USB camera, but there's another option for 8-step comparison on that same tab, and that shows you in the 8 positions as photos, not video. And so that makes it a lot easier to compare two swings in all those different positions. That feature, you do need the Swing Optix cameras. Just be aware that these features and potentially future features will require Swing Optix cameras and not just any USB cameras. So that may be a reason to consider these over something else. Now, I did mention the Balance Optix pressure mat needing the Swing Optix cameras to function. You can buy those together as part of the Performance Optix package. That's actually what I did. You end up saving $500 when you buy them together as a bundle. Final thoughts after using these cameras for several weeks now. They honestly are the best camera experience that I've had so far when reviewing these different cameras and software. They work together great. The image is very nice. I love all the extra features that it kind of unlocks within Uneekor View. Altogether, I think that is probably the biggest selling point to me for Uneekor, is that they are really building like an ecosystem. They're using Uneekor software, Uneekor swing cameras, Uneekor launch monitor, and also the pressure mat. When they control all those different pieces, they're able to work work really, really well together. Combined with the Eye Mini Lite that was just released at under $3,000, you can kind of look at using that with some of these other add-ons like the cameras and the pressure mat and just have a really, really cool studio. I'm really impressed with these so far. Let me know what you think if you have them, or if you have any questions about them. I'd love to help you build your studio with any advice I can give. Leave me a comment down below or shoot me an email, and check the link in the description for the Swing Optix cameras and the Performance Optix bundle. Using those will definitely help out the channel, and I'd appreciate it. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.